Vincenzo's Go Crypto Investing, this August the 28th, 2025 cryptocurrency and blockchain technology update. And we're going to start looking at a little bit of news. Could XRP hit $200? We're not going to talk about that right now. Bitcoin Tether, stablecoin USDT coming to Bitcoin blockchain. I'm just looking for anything that's of interest to me. I'm just reading these out loud. The headlines: Steve, XRP bullish pattern, XRP constructive bull base eyes big break that could trigger crazy all-time high. Kinley MD registers 5 billion security offering to fund. Here's another one. This is what interests me. Another company becoming a quasi Bitcoin treasury, and I believe this is what's infiltrating and what could cause a massive financial collapse as it's infiltrated out of just the crypto sphere into, like here, Kinley MD registers 5 billion security office. Healthcare company Kinley. So now you have a healthcare company, just like you have a companies from all around the sphere, whether they're in healthcare, technology, automakers, state and local governments, that are turning themselves into Bitcoin treasuries, that they're leveraging. If they were just buying with cash to own the outright Bitcoin, not a problem with that. No problems here. I don't see any issues. But these companies are taking loans, taking debt, mortgaging their cities, states, companies' future, all on the hopes that Bitcoin keeps going up and never goes down, right? Healthcare company Kinley MD at the market quality offering with the SEC to fund its aggressive bid, making one of the largest corporate crypto accumulating programs announced this year. The Utah-based firm, trading under the ticker NAKA, NAKA, like a Nagasaki, gonna Nagasaki this company to the ground on the NASDAQ global market, plans to use the process that for general corporate purposes, including Bitcoin purchases, as it transforms from a niche healthcare provider into a public Bitcoin operating company. Kinley announced $5 billion at the market equity offering program, intends to use the proceeds, which is at the market equity is quasi code for borrowing or leveraging money and debt, to pursue of a Bitcoin treasury strategy, working capital, funding acquisitions of businesses, assets, of technologies, capital expenditures, and or investing in Nakamoto merger creates hybrid model combining healthcare revenue with crypto treasury. Kinley holding 14 issue approximately 22.3 million shares to Nakamoto shareholders while securing $540 million through private placement agreements and $200 million securing. The combined now holds 5,765 Bitcoin, approximately 697 million, ranking 16th among public companies by Bitcoin holding. And this is just more of what I've been talking about. As companies are now, it's not just segregated. If there was ever a financial collapse of Bitcoin, it is infiltrated into all these other sectors via them turning their companies into quasi Bitcoin treasuries. And if you look at the XRP price today, we're still consolidating. We're still just in the daily above the 50-day moving average, you can see, but we're just below the 307 horizontal and blue left to right major support and resistance level. You can see the 100-day moving average is sitting just below that, and then the 200-day moving average, come on, is sitting just below the 255. And what you're looking at going into this holiday weekend is the same technical analysis in the short term that we've had the last couple of days. In the last couple of days, you know, this 307 is your major overhead resistance and support. You can see support, resistance, support, resistance, resistance. So if it can't get above the 307, obviously bearish. If it clears below the 50-day moving average, which you're just above at 298, you're going to come suck down like that, a magnet, to the 276, and then eventually it'll act like a magnet down to the 200-day, which in a couple of days will be right over this 255. So those are your underneath major support levels. If you slip to 50, you're more than likely going to eventually come to the 255. If you break the 307, you're more than likely eventually going to try to break the 337 and then eventually the 368. But right now in the XRP, you're still below the 307. You're just above the 50-day moving average. But it's looking more and more like it wants to break down, and the next move is actually to the 255. To me, at this point, there's a greater percentage that you come to the 255 in the first before you come to the 366. So we'll see how that plays out. The XLM is obviously in the same pattern, and I say obviously because we've been covering this every day all year, and the pattern is rhymed and almost followed exactly to the T. But you can see one thing that's starting to show up here first as XLM, you're below the 50-day moving average, something that we think XRP is going to do. But you can see the 43 cents is your major horizontal resistance, support, resistance. But you can see here, if you look closely, the 50-day moving average is slightly starting to descend now. The 100-day is running just about parallel. The 200-day is starting to run parallel, but still slightly uptrending. The price is now significantly below the 39 cents. Could there be a little bit of a rally today in the daily candle back up to just get beaten down by a descending 50? Yes. But I think, like we've been talking about here the last few days, you got to come back to 36 cents. And potentially the next major move, by mean major, would be the next move like from 36 cents to 46, or from 48 down to 36. I think the next major move is going to be from about where you're at now all the way down to the 200-day moving average at 33 cents. It's going to be very interesting. We're going to pay close attention. But right now, if you can hold the 100-day when you come touch it, along with the 36 cents, which the 100-day is sitting just on top of that now, just like you bounce just above on the 50, but just above the green box, you're going to come down to the green box this time, followed by probably a slight rally, potentially as up as high as the 39 cents again. But then I think the next fall, the big move is going to come down to the 33 to 31 in the next 1 to 2 weeks. But that's something obviously that we're going to follow, because this could turn around and could just pump to the upside. The same thing with the Ethereum. We're continuing to consolidate off that all-time high. My thesis on this continues to be the same in the short term, that we're coming back down to retest this critical green support box, which, let's move some of these over. Come on. Move this over. You can see the 200-day is sitting just at the bottom part of that green trading zone. But I think what's happening here is what we've been talking about for about a week, just like what we were talking about when this came down and touched the 4,000 and had a ferocious rally. We're topping out again, and I think we have to come down again to what the 50-day will be sitting right at, this 4,000 and change in a couple of days, 4,035 and 10 cents. The 50-day moving average, come on, why does it do that? The 50-day moving average, we'll be sitting on that in a couple of days. You can see it's just below it at 3,900. And I believe that's where this price is going in the short term. I think we're coming down for another retest. And then you're going to either have a ferocious rally where you're going to clear the $5,000 mark on the next move up, or you're going to consolidate down closer to the 34.77, which is still a healthy correction. So there's a lot of volatility in this Ethereum coming up, in the 4,035, I believe, is going to be a critical support level. And I think we're going to actually come down and touch that. And we're going to end this video out with the Bitcoin. You can see we're still sitting just above the 100-day moving average, which we bounced off of. We're back with inside this rising 3.5-year support. And that's what we have to try to hold right now. But you can see what I got drawn out, and you can see it's sitting ever so slightly in there. That the 50-day moving average, we're thinking as it's descending now in the daily time frame, could overhead chop this down in 3 or 4 days, 5 days, maybe even a week's time as this chops along it, then eventually runs back into this, and that's what forces it down. Because if this gets a confirmed breakdown out of this rising channel, that's an overall structural change of the Bitcoin price in the market, and that would be eyeing a 103,000 followed by a 97 to 90,000 short to medium term target, which from its all-time high is a big move to the downside. Currently right now we're down 10%. We've been down as much as 12%, but that's a 21% move to the downside if we hit $97,000 in the short term. Obviously this can all be averted if we stay back within this channel, have a nice ferocious pump, get back above the 50, and then continue moving to the upside, right? But until we make a move, make a decision, decide and understand and see what's actually happening, we can only speculate on the volatile swings in the overall structure of the Bitcoin market in the short to medium term. Peace and love. The Rock's Eyebrow, Jay.